Not far from Chikang's luxurious estate in Honan was a grove of bamboo where he and certain Taoist friends used to walk in the heat of the afternoon, making up poetry, drinking a little wine, and playing the lute. Here too they indulged themselves in pure conversation, which would end, as Fung Yu-lan puts it, when they reached the unnameable, and then stopped talking and silently understood each other with a smile. Their strolls invariably wound up at the local tavern. There they would turn to serious drinking. By the end of the evening, they would be in a stupor of glorious indifference to the world and intimacy with the Tao. So that's a story about the seven sages of the bamboo grove. And that passage had a huge impact on my life. It put into a few short words an ideal I'd treasured since childhood and never quite had the reference for it. And that was it. It represents the possibility of a certain ideal. And that is reaching the pinnacle of religious ecstasy without any formal strictures, with a sense of fun, and in company. The idea of being with people with whom you could stroll, chat, play music, poetry, until you reach the unnameable, and then stop, and then silently understand each other with a smile. I love it. I love it. I treasure that passage. I treasure it. And then they get shit-faced drunk. I mean, yeah, so when I entered my phase of really serious spiritual discovery, that's what I would do every single day. By hook or by crook, reach the unnameable, through this way, that way, the other way, usually reading or thinking, and you'd reach it, and then you'd lose yourself in it. You just and you'd go for a walk, you'd string it out, and then finally when you came out exhausted on the other end, what would you do? Get super high. I mean, what else are you gonna do? What else are you gonna do with that day? Like, do your taxes? No, you're gonna ride that for as long as you can. And how are you gonna do it? And I'll admit it's something I sort of longed for. I longed for to share with other people, and found very difficult. Right? It's awkward to try to steer the conversation there when the conversation's not going there. And it's very painful to hold that expectation and just wait for days and weeks and years until the conversation naturally moves there, right? So I'll admit I allowed myself to be a little bit too disappointed that it didn't work out that way. And at that point, you gotta ask yourself, why not just convert to Islam? You'll find those people. You'll get to do it 5 times a day. You give an arbitrary designator to the unnameable. You call it Allah. You call it God. And then 5 times a day, Allahu Akbar. Bam. With dozens, hundreds of other people in the mosque. 5 times a day. Why don't I just do that? Does the fact that you have to designate Muhammad as the primary spokesperson for the unnameable, does that really get stuck in your craw that much, David? And I don't know, but anyway. Edward Conze said, "To the modern historian, Buddhism is a phenomenon which must exasperate him at every point, and we can only say in extenuation that this religion was not founded for the benefit of historians." I mean, it's only natural, right? It's just, due to the nature of emptiness, due to the nature of impermanence. It's gonna be tricky to tell a consistent story about it. And what's true of Buddhism in this case is also extremely true of Taoism. It's a very, very, very tricky thing to define. And for now, I'm not going to try. Instead, I'm going to tell a few interesting stories, starting with some of these seven sages of the bamboo grove, which will give a bit of the flavor, give a bit of the sense, give a bit of the uncommunicable knack for which the Taoist is so renowned. And then, and then we'll see where we go from there. So tune in next time for more stories from these crazy band of drunken Taoists. God bless.